in the garden. That's what this is all about. It's about my journey in my garden and just showing you what I've done over the years to develop what I've got now. I really love being in the garden. It's just such a tranquil place for me. It's been about 17 years in the making, and it's not been easy, and I've had so many different thoughts along the way, and I just want to try and share those with you. I also keep bees, hence the title. And maybe you're asking me, why keep bees? And for me, this came quite naturally. Not too long after I stopped using pesticides in my garden, which was probably about 12 or 13 years ago, I really noticed that the beneficial insects were just coming into the garden more and more, and I could see the bees, and that just prompted me to understand the benefit of giving some of the garden up to nature. I'll try and show you some of the stuff I've got in my garden today. Come and have a look at some of the things I'm going to be doing in the garden today. The whole idea really is just to show what I do in the garden. It's not what you have to do, I'm just showing you what I do in the garden. Come and join me. I've really enjoyed my poppies this year, I really have. The sad thing about poppies is that they don't flower for very long, so what I try to do is just save them. These are some of the spent poppies, and what I'm going to try and do is show you what I do with the seeds, dry them, save them, plant them again. So here are the leftovers of some of the poppies I had and really enjoyed earlier on this year. As I said, the sad thing about poppies is that they don't last for very long. What I have got though, or what it leaves me behind, the seed pods. Once they get as dry as this, then what we can do is just cut them down and just shake out, they're like pepper pots, shake out the seeds. I don't know if you can see that in my hand. To shake out the seeds, or just shake them out onto a piece of card. And then what you can see here are just the hundreds of thousands of seeds that you can sow again next year. You can store them in newspaper or a cardboard box. You can just get an old mason jar and put them in there. Try and label them as well so you remember what it is that you're saving. So that's a really good way of saving seeds so that you can get some more enjoyment of the flowers in a following season. I also do the same for things like peppers and other fruits and vegetables. It can just be store-bought stuff, like this pepper here. So if you just chop off and use the pepper and then just leave the seeds where they are. If you just put it on some newspaper or tissue, after a few days, it'll just dry out, and then you'll have lots of seeds that you can use and plant the following season. It's a really great way of keeping expenses down from buying seeds in the first place, and if it's a beautiful fruit or vegetable you particularly like, then at least you know for the most part you can have some more of that enjoyment again the following season. My new boots, I'm loving these. I'm going to have to show you my old ones. The heel fell off, that's how worn they are. But these are, to me, the same as somebody being given the latest fashion handbag. I wouldn't appreciate the latest fashion handbag or heels, not even if they were red bottoms. These are mine, okay? These just give me what I need in the garden. I really appreciate them, so I'm going to love these, cherish these, okay? That's just me. I've got my bee kit that I'm going to be putting on. So why don't you join me as I have a look at the beehive. The inspection is going to take place now. I've got to get kitted up, it'll just take me a moment. Okay, I'm just going to bring out the things I'm going to need for that. Need my flame, my smoker. Need some good gloves. I'm going to pop that out there. I'm going to be doing an inspection of my hive today, and in order for me to do that I need to have my kit on, so you can probably see me covered and ready for the bees. I've also got my hive tool. It's mostly going to be in my right hand, you're going to notice, and I'll explain a little bit later. I've got my smoker on the ready. We need to get that lit up, so I'm going to try and get that done now. I've also got my gloves, and I have this grip that will help me pull out the frames. I'll explain it in detail later. Hopefully you can hear and see me still, but it's not me that's important, it's the bees, right? You've come to see the bees. Just some old egg cartons, very useful, some scraps of paper. then I like to use lavender, which I've harvested. I normally take that and dry it from November. Get that going. So I'm hoping I'm not too defensive today. Let's see. There we go. It's nice. You'll hear this crack sound, and it's where they stick everything down using propolis. I normally twist in case they've made any extra comb. I'm just going to check and make sure. That is as it ought to be. That looked fine. So my first observation is that they're doing what they should be doing, which is keeping busy, I guess. Their wings look in good shape. That's often a telltale sign if there might be any disease. And there's no sign of that. So this is the hive, and if you can notice here, we've got two shorter boxes on top. They're known as the supers, where they store the honey. And then we've got here a tiny part, which is called the queen excluder. And then down here we've got the brood box. It's a lot deeper. And this is where you'll find the eggs and the young bees. I'm just going to take the two upper departments off, the supers, and then we're going to go down to inspect to see if everything is in good order. This will take a moment. Just going to have a look at the frames. So up here, these are frames. I'm just checking. That looks fine. I'm going to pop it out to the side. To give me room to look at the others. Right. I don't know if you can have a look at that. Because what we can see here is what we call capped honey. This is all honey, and it's all been capped towards the bottom of that frame. You can see where the honey is, but it's not yet been capped. And that looks really well, and they look healthy as well. It's beautiful when the honey's glistening in the sun. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one away. Everything looks as it ought to. I'm just going to push the frames back. Just be mindful of the bees. Using my hive tool. I'm trying not to make any sudden movements. They don't particularly like that. Closing the hive up. There we go. Just give them a moment to move out. There we go. That's it. Beep beep. If you blow gently, they'll actually move out the way. Okay, so I can pop that one in. And if you remember, the way I brought it out is the same way I need to replace it. So that's the top brood. I'm gonna lift that off. Again, you'll hear that cracking sound. Just gonna gently ease it from the corner. These can get quite heavy. And again, what I'm going to do is a twisting action in case they've put some brace or some comb, just to make sure I'm not lifting it up from the one below. So just by giving a slight twisting, it ensures that I'm not taking anything from the below frame. Do a little bit of cleaning whilst I'm here, just by removing the comb. Don't throw this stuff away. Just put the excess comb inside a box and it can be used to make candles later. I've not done that yet, but perhaps sometime in the future I may. Okay, so we're going to go into the second one. I've done that. Let me just take a few of these out and have a quick look. I'm also checking to make sure they've got enough space. And they do appear to have enough, and you can tell because this frame here hasn't yet been filled out, but it does show that they've built out the frame, but they've yet to fill it with the honey. If I notice that this box or this super was also filled with honey, then I might consider putting another frame, another super on top. But based on what I can see, there's no need for me to add another super at this stage. Again, this one, doing exactly what you'd expect them to be doing. Building out the foundation. They look well, there's no sign of disease, and there's plenty of space. So I'm going to pop this one back. And just looking from above, I'm going to see where they have filled up to. And I think we can see it on the fourth frame in. So they will be running out of space soon because there are only 3 frames remaining. You can see mostly capped honey on the outer side. You can see this area at the bottom, lower area, where they've yet to fill with honey and then cap. So the rest of them are capped. So I've got to bear in mind now that they only have another 3 frames. So I'm sure by the inspection next week, they're only done once a week, I will be considering putting another super. What we're going to do now is go into the main part of the hive, or the brood box, where we're hoping to see the queen. You notice I haven't had to smoke them very much. They've got a good temperament. Just need to be sure that she's not on here somewhere. So I'm gonna go in. Again, I just need to do some cleaning up whilst I'm in here though. You see, so it just slow me down a little. There we go. Okay, so this is the main hive box, or the brood box, and this is where the young are born. This one here, although it's a shape of the frame, is what we call the dummy board. So you can see that these frames are a lot deeper. We call them deeper, they're wider. And if you look closely actually here, you can see the signs of pollen, the yellows. And there's some in this area as well. Pollen and nectar. Okay, here is where it can get a little tricky. They might get quite defensive, rightly so, of their queen. I can see that there are some queen cells on this one, and I'll explain what they are. So the queen is right here. She's laying an egg as we speak. See how they're cleaning and protecting her? She's walking upwards towards me right now. And I'm going to put that frame back. I just want to get her back in there because she can be tricky. If she should drop, that wouldn't be a good... But what I'll do is I'll use another frame to show you what I was hoping to show you on that one. Right, let's see what we've got here then. And what you can see here is a drone. That's the male bee. They're rather bigger than the others, which are all ladies. And if you have a look at the frame, unlike the capped honey you saw previously, this one is capped brood. So there's lots of babies on here and they've been sealed in. It's called capped brood. I don't know if you can see at the very top of this frame, you can see some bright colours, oranges and yellows, and that's the nectar and pollen. So this is what you expect to see, a healthy frame of capped brood. I was hoping to see some eggs, but I can see she is laying, and I can see some young brood. So I'm not too worried that I haven't seen eggs, but perhaps in this frame I might. And if I can, I'll see if I can show you. Here, you're going to see what look like, they look like maggots almost. They almost look like maggots. I'm going to blow. They're baby bees. Oh, there's a bee with all the pollen in its sac. And just about here, you can see all the yellow pollen on the back of this bee. So I'm going to pop everything back. So we saw in here the brood, we saw some drones, we saw the queen, pollen, nectar, and we saw the baby bees. I've replaced it with the queen excluder, which prevents the queen from coming up to where the honey is being made. And now I'm just going to replace the upper sections, or the supers, as gentle as possible, trying not to have any casualties. Okay, and then the last one, and then we close up. These get heavy. Okay. That's nice and secure. So it's all been reassembled and we're good to go. So what I'm doing here is just tidying up my bamboo. I've got some bamboo here. It's actually called Philostachys nigra, this one. It's the black bamboo. I like to strip the bamboo canes down, you know, the last bottom third of it, just to sort of expose the beautiful canes. And so I'm going to just be doing that right now. And you can make them as high or as low as you like. What I also do with my bamboos, because they're quite thirsty people, is lots of water, but also mulch it up. Mulch it up just means to cover the roots. So I sometimes just lay the bamboos that I've cut on them, and that helps to keep the moisture inside the bamboos. These plants here also love spent coffee grounds. So if you're friendly with your local coffee person, ask them for the spent coffee grounds at the end of the day, collect them and put them inside of here. Okay. These also love grass clippings. So when I'm cutting the grass, if I'm not composting the grass, I'll put the grass clippings on top of here as well as mulch, to use as mulching. There we go. How's that looking? There's a little bit left over there. What you can also do with these, the ones that lose their colour and get dried, you can just cut them out and then use these to stake up in things that fall over in your garden, like some tomatoes, which I'm going to be doing next. So what we've got here are some tomatoes, and they're doing quite well, but as you can see they've collapsed in my pot. So what I'm going to do is just stake them up, and I'm going to use some of the bamboo canes that I cut down from earlier on, plus a wire cane that I used just to stake these up a little bit. It's a good idea to take away some of the lower foliage as well. Remember, everything can be composted, so they're going to go into my compost bin. And by removing the lower leaves, it just means that I can have a bit more circulation in this area. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift it up first, actually. I should have done this a long time ago, to be honest, so it's overdue. And actually this is just a piece of cane, piece of wiring that I've just bent into a semicircular shape and two prongs. I'm going to stick, I think I've lost one, haven't I? Lost a tomato. I'm going to stick that in my pot. And that holds it up a little bit better. And then I'm just going to get rid of some of the lower leaves to give my and then using the cane from earlier on. That's better. What have we got here? I might have to come back with some cable tie on this one as well. Try not to restrict them too much. That's not going to stay, is it? I'm going to have to go and get some cable tie. There we go. Let's pop another one up. See what happens when you don't get the jobs done in the garden that need doing on time. There's that bamboo stake. stick that in. There we go. So again, using things around the garden. My tomatoes are looking better now, and I'm just going to carry on with that job. So there we go, we've got the tomatoes all staked up. I've used the bamboo canes from the cuttings I took earlier on, and I've also got some metal cane that I use around my garden. What that means is that the tomatoes get better aeration, nice airflow, but also that the sun can be able to hit them and help them to ripen. Yeah, some of the harvests I'm looking forward to getting in the near future. I've got some figs here. It's a fig tree. Got my plums just along here. There's a plum tree. And then we've got the fennel, which we've used plenty this year already. Remember I talked about the saving of the seeds. I love saving the fennel seeds. When these get really dry, you can just shake the heads in a paper bag, and then you've got the seeds to plant again next year. But these actually grow up very, very easily. Okay, I've got the grapes doing quite well here as well. I don't know if you can see that. Got bunches of the green grapes here. This will be the first year of harvesting them, because they have been here for 3 years, and it's normally the 3rd year that you use to harvest. But I'm looking forward to having some of those grapes. I planted a lot of melons and squashes this year, and I have to be honest, I'm not even sure what this one is, but it's not doing too badly. I'm looking forward to tasting that later on. We've got some other ones growing in odd places. There's another one there. I've got some sage growing here, lovely fresh herbs. I've also got some blueberries tucked in the back there. Not many at this time of year, but I will pick the last few. Let's see. My blueberries. Warm, tasty, juicy, delicious, organic vegetable garden. I've got some cucumber melons here. I've never grown them before, so I'm surprised that I've managed to do that, but I'm pleasantly surprised. You'll have to tell me what these are meant to taste like, because this is all very new to me, but I like being experimental, and I just love the way that they hang as well. Cucumber melons. Got some beans here as well, so easy to grow, so worth growing. All these flowers here, each of them are going to be a pod at some point. The more you pick, the more they grow. Wherever I go, I've always got my calipers, I've realised, in my hand. It's worth it because I'm always pruning and picking stuff out. We've got the apples here though as well, they're looking good. Got some apples on this tree. I particularly like this tree because it has been grafted. So there are 3 different types of apples growing on this tree. Only one variety are doing particularly well this season, but I want to learn how to graft myself. That I don't know yet, but something for me to learn. I love my banana tree, but I can't promise I'll have any bananas from them anytime soon. This is my asparagus bed. We've harvested the asparagus long ago, early in the season, around March, April, March time. I leave some to just grow so they can go into seed. It's nice to see that as well, the asparagus bed. So what I've got here are just some Swiss chard and some beetroot leaves. Some of them I'm going to leave to become beetroots as well. I love beetroots, fresh from the garden. Remember, everything here is organic. The Swiss chard, they just keep giving and keep giving. Thumbs up. So hopefully you've enjoyed being in the garden with me today. I really have enjoyed it. I've just done some of the tasks that I would naturally do. The bee inspection was a good one today. It's always lovely when you see the queen. Saw the nectar and the pollen. I identified a drone, remember? The male bees. But they're doing really very well. Also the other stuff I've done in the garden as well. The bamboo, the seed saving, the tomatoes. What I'm hoping to do is for you to just come and join me on my journey as I go through the garden and just see how it progresses. There's things for me to continue learning, and the whole purpose of this really is just for you to enjoy. Keep gardening simple. Try and get out into nature if you can though as well. It's really good for you. Besides, on a day like today, you get your vitamin D. Enjoy.